gracious host for the hot seat, Greg Cardone.
Hi, and welcome to The Hot Seat. I'm your host, Greg Cardone, and I'm going to steal a little bit of Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day to have an interview. I just couldn't resist. Today, we have a special guest in the hot seat, good friend of mine, Trevor Sherwood. Welcome, Trevor.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, our pleasure. Let me ask you, you played a significant part in the future cult classic, hopefully, of Grinders. How did you get involved, and what roles did you play?
Well, originally, Grinders started off as a 20-minute short proof of concept that was going to be used to raise funding for the feature length. And if you remember, you actually got me the audition for that. And I started trying for the detective role played by Johnny Faraci, and I ended up getting Jackson Hardy, the used car salesman, which ended up being perfect for me. And we did that, and I had such a good time with that I ended up becoming the executive producer of the feature-length film.
That was very gracious of you. Without that, we wouldn't be sitting here talking, and wrong way, and we wouldn't have Grinders coming in the fall of 2023. How long have you been in the business?
I started about 25, 26 years ago when I was 15 in the professional wrestling industry, so doing live shows. And I started the film side of the house about 2 years ago.
Great. And you've been in numerous independent films here in Florida. You were a stunt coordinator on a few of them, yes?
Yes, sir.
Did you get beat up a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I'm missing a couple of teeth right now from the last one I did.
Yeah, no insurance. We'll have to work on that. So the role you played of Jackson Hardy, you say it fit you. In what way?
Well, way back in the day, I actually worked for a small used car sales lot. Now, thankfully, they weren't shady. They were pretty cool. But I've been a mechanic for the past 25, 26 years as well. So I've been big on cars since I was 15. So the role just kind of came to me, and I got to wrap myself around, if I wasn't such a nice guy, what I would be doing if I ran the only used car lot within 150 miles and people had no choice but to come to me. So I got to really, really let loose and have a little fun with that.
Did you find it was difficult dealing with the long hours and with the 35, 40 people that we had on the crew, since you did wear a few different hats?
I mean, it got a little stressful at a couple of times. I know the first night was a really long shoot. We got there at like 8 a.m. and left at 3 o'clock the next morning. And then I still had like an hour drive back to the house. It was difficult, but it could have been a lot worse. Fortunately, our cast and crew was so nice. Everybody helped pick up a lot of the load. So it wasn't like I had to do it all on my lonesome by any means. You know, all our guys were so helpful and so willing to dig in and take an extra step for us that it just kind of made many hands make light work.
I saw you running around, and you definitely picked up a lot of the slack in there, but you also helped a lot of the new people that we were dealing with. I am going to share a clip here. I didn't tell you what it was beforehand. And then after taking a look at it, I would like for you to kind of describe what went on.
Okay.
Straw! We all know my sister had the hots for you.
Yeah, well, I didn't have the hots for her.
Yeah, well, now she's missing, and if I find out you had anything to do with it, Rick Strom will beat you to death with that sledgehammer.
Look, you were an asshole in high school, you're an asshole now, and you'll always be an asshole. Now get the fuck off my property.
You're a sick bastard, Rick Strom, and as soon as I find proof, I'll be back.
Son of a...
All right, well, we're back. After taking a look at that, can you kind of describe what went on in that scene? So, Trevor, can you please describe what went on during that scene.
So there's a funny story around that scene, and it could have ended very badly for me. Thankfully, everybody did a good job, especially Red. So that hammer was supposed to be a prop hammer, and it actually got lost in the mail like the night before shooting. And for those that don't know, Red wears glasses, and he lost his glasses on the set like 2 hours before we did that shot. So the entire cast and crew tore this place apart, and it's out in the open. It's out in this big property. And we looked everywhere and couldn't find these things. So I'm teasing Red. I'm like, he's got a real claw hammer that he's swinging at the back of my head, and I can't see it because if I turn to look at it, I'm going to eat it right in the temple. And I was like, I didn't want to have to explain to the hospital why I got hit in the head with a claw hammer. So I told Red, I was like, you aim for the one of me on the left. And I did an old pro wrestling trick that we did where as he swings through, I tell him to swing on by, and we'll use the camera angle so it looks like he hits me. And he's going to hit me with his forearm right there on my back so that it tells me when to fall. Because otherwise, if I turn to look, I'm going to get hit with a hammer. And thankfully, I made Red practice that for like 20 minutes before we actually shot that scene. And I still have a behind the scenes of it, and it looks like he nails me with a hammer. And that was just with a cell phone recording. So
that was a pretty intense scene. A lot of people
I'm just glad he didn't hit me.
Yeah. We were hoping you were going to come out of that. So if you had one wish for this film, what would it be?
I would like to see this film succeed internationally, like on a worldwide scale. I'd love for my friends to be able to watch it out here in the States on, a pretty popular television channel or service. I would love to see my friends over in Germany and all around the world be able to watch it and give me feedback. That would just be great being able to say that the project that we all did, has gone international. I know we've won enough international awards. The interest is definitely there.
Yes, we have 51 Best Awards, 80 nominations. I'll just throw it out there. It was kind of surprising for everybody, but you just never know what is going to be happening. All right, a couple more questions here. Is there one event or one story that you recall, that was impactful for you?
Apt choice of words there. Impactful. You already know what scene I'm talking about. We did the scene where we were in the meat market there at Fatbacks, and Sarah, the actress who played my wife in the film, were arguing trying to get the special ground beef. And originally we weren't quite sure what we wanted to do there. And I suggested that maybe we'll have her slap me like Jackson's kind of whip, like his wife abuses him, but she's the only one that can get away with it. And we did the scene and we ended up doing like 15 takes. And at first she kind of just wanted to be like, give me a little love tap. And I was like, Sarah, you got to give me something to work with. And so she started getting me. Well, as she did each take, she got more and more into it. And I just told her, I said, hey, don't hit me in the left ear. I have a little tinnitus in there. And I'm like, I think it was like the 12th take. She caught me real good in the left ear. And everybody on the set could see it. I was dazed. I heard nothing but ringing. I fell over a little. My equilibrium was off. I caught the meat counter and kind of held myself up and kind of looked up and looked around a little bit. And everybody's jaw was just on the floor. And I turned and I was so out of it. I almost looked right into the camera, which is a no-no. And I looked at it and I looked past it, and there was Andy, the director, who was playing Jeb, and he handed me the meat. And originally there was no dialogue there. There was no action there. I was just supposed to just take the meat. And I kind of improvised this line. I was like, Jeb, my wife wants your meat. Come on now. And I played it deadpan, and he handed me the meat, and it was actually cold from being in the refrigerator. So it was this ground up cold hamburger. And I took it and I looked at it for a second, and my face was so swollen at that point. I just went, and it felt
I remember it because I was standing just on the side. It was a solid smack. She wasn't pulling any punches on that.
No, and I still had to do a few more after that one. So I took about 15 of those, and by 15 I had to go sit down. Like, I was a pro wrestler for a long time, and that was quite a beating.
All right, so we're coming up to the last question here in a great interview. What advice would you give to a new actor or filmmaker? Give me in 30 seconds.
One of the things I noticed, like around here in the Indies, there's a lot of opportunities for extra and small jobs. And I don't like overdoing the extra because people tend to typecast you and stick you in an extra role and it's very hard to get out. It's good to do for like your first film or two, but I would recommend going getting small supporting roles with like 1 or 2 lines just so you get the experience. And there's plenty of those around your local indie films. Like you don't have to be SAG to turn around and do these indie films. They're always looking for people. And just be
All right. Well, that's great. A lot of people are going to be watching this. So we're going to be putting your contact information, of course, in the credits, how people can get in touch with you, how they can get in touch with us here. But again, thank you very much for being on this. Thank you very much for being the bank, one of the banks.